Deep beneath the frozen beauty of Iceland, something ancient is tearing the earth apart, literally. Right now, in 2026, a growing chain of fiery cracks is ripping through the land, forcing evacuations, swallowing roads, and threatening entire towns. Scientists are calling it one of the most dangerous volcanic phases in decades. But this isn't just another eruption story, this is the visible edge of a planet splitting itself open in real time. And what's even more unsettling, this might just be the beginning. To understand what's happening, you have to look beneath the surface. Iceland sits directly on the mid-Atlantic ridge, a massive crack in the Earth's crust where two tectonic plates, the North American and Eurasian plates, are slowly drifting apart. Usually, this process happens deep under the ocean, invisible to us. But here in Iceland, it's happening on land. The ground itself is being pulled in opposite directions at a rate of about 2 centimeters per year. That might sound slow, but when pressure builds beneath the surface, it releases violently, and that's exactly what we're seeing now. The current crisis is centered around the Reykjanes Peninsula, a region that had been relatively quiet for nearly 800 years, until 2021. Since then, this area has entered a new volcanic cycle. By 2026, multiple fissure eruptions have already occurred, each one more unpredictable than the last. Unlike traditional volcanoes that erupt from a single crater, fissure eruptions tear open long cracks in the earth, sometimes stretching for kilometers. Lava doesn't explode upward, it pours out like a river of fire, spreading quickly and covering vast areas in a matter of hours. In recent months, seismic activity has surged dramatically. Swarms of earthquakes, sometimes over 1,000 in just a few days, have shaken the region. Ground deformation data shows the land swelling and cracking as magma forces its way upward. In one alarming event, a fissure opened just a few kilometers from the fishing town of Grindavík, triggering mass evacuations. Over 3,000 residents were forced to leave their homes almost overnight. Roads split apart, buildings developed deep fractures, and in some places, the ground simply collapsed. What makes these eruptions especially dangerous is their unpredictability. Scientists from the Icelandic Meteorological Office have warned that magma is moving beneath the surface in complex patterns, creating new fissures without much warning. Unlike a single volcano that can be monitored at one point, this system behaves like a network of underground rivers, constantly shifting, constantly building pressure. At any moment, a new crack could open in a completely unexpected location. And the scale of lava flow is staggering. In one eruption alone, lava covered more than 4 square kilometers in just days, destroying infrastructure and cutting off key transport routes. Temperatures in these flows can exceed 1,200 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt metal and ignite anything in its path. Even after the lava cools, the land becomes unstable, jagged, and uninhabitable for years. But here's where it becomes even more serious. Some experts believe this volcanic cycle could last not for weeks or months, but for decades. Historical records suggest that the Reykjanes Peninsula experiences long periods of dormancy followed by intense eruptive phases lasting 100 to 300 years. If that pattern holds true, what we're witnessing in 2026 could be the early stage of a centuries-long geological transformation. And it's not just Iceland at risk. While these eruptions are mostly local, they have global implications. Volcanic gases like sulfur dioxide are being released into the atmosphere, which can affect air quality and even influence climate patterns if emissions become large enough. In 2010, the eruption of geological disrupted air travel across Europe for weeks. Now imagine multiple fissure eruptions happening repeatedly over years. The impact on aviation, trade, and global supply chains could be severe. There's also the human cost. Families in evacuated zones are living in uncertainty, unsure if they will ever return home. Entire communities like Grindavík may need to be permanently relocated if the ground continues to fracture. The psychological toll is immense, living with the constant fear that the earth beneath you could split open at any moment. Yet despite the danger, Iceland is also one of the most prepared countries in the world when it comes to volcanic activity. Advanced monitoring systems, satellite data, and rapid emergency response have helped prevent large-scale loss of life so far. Scientists are tracking magma movements in near real time, giving authorities precious hours, or sometimes minutes, to act. But even with all this technology, nature still holds the upper hand. Because at its core, this isn't just a volcanic event. It's a reminder of something much bigger, that our planet is alive, constantly moving, constantly changing. The ground we stand on is not as solid as it seems. In places like Iceland, that reality is impossible to ignore. And as 2026 unfolds, the question isn't whether the Earth will continue to split here, it already is. The real question is, how far will it go, how long will it last, and what will be left behind when it's over? Because right now, in the firelit cracks of Iceland, we're not just watching an eruption. We're watching the Earth rewrite itself.